Well, here we are with another one-pager. Notice the objectives on page 33 of your lab objectives. It's only one page. Yay! Although it's the digestive system, so there are a few wrinkles here and there. This is oral number 9 on the digestive system. I could say that you really need to digest this information in order to be successful, but I won't. Make sure to clock in, because you need 3 more hours in the lab before you take oral number 9. Notice that not only do you have one page of objectives, but you also have a couple of tracings, one grande and one poquito. The big one is tracing food from the mouth to the anus. Boy, oh boy. And the little one is to trace bile from the liver. We'll get to these soon enough, but let's take a look at the models and things outside of the tracings first. Do you remember in the cartoons when some small creature ends up inside the oral cavity of some large animal? Say a wee mouse inside the mouth of a cat? Then do you remember the mouse seeing that thing hanging down in the back of the throat, and it starts using it as a punching bag, which drives the cat nuts, and it lets the mouse go? What is that thing called? Does it really exist? Well, you can find the answer to this important question and many more as you make your way through this unit. How did that mouse see inside that cat anyway? Oh yeah, that's right. He usually lit a match or something. Let's start with the question at hand. What is that punching bag called? Well, you can find the answer to this by turning to page 776 and finding the structure that hangs down from the back of your mouth. There you are. It's the uvula. The uvula. Now you know that important piece of information, and you can now name it correctly the next time you watch cartoons. The next important question is, what makes spit? Well, what I really mean is, what glands make saliva, which has the function of lubricating our food and beginning the process of digestion by breaking down carbohydrates? Well, I think these glands should be called the baseball player glands, but they're not. There are 3 glands that make saliva. Turn to page 777 to see the location of the salivary glands. Have you ever eaten a lemon? Go suck on a lemon. Did you notice the pain you get on the jaw, in front of your ear, and under your jawbone, and under your tongue? Well, you have just located the 3 glands. Sour items overactivate the salivary glands and can cause pain. The glands are the parotid gland on the masseter muscle, the submandibular glands under each side of the jawbone, and the sublingual gland under, ta-da, the tongue. Imagine that. Lingual means tongue. Since the jawbone is called the mandible and lingua means tongue, I wonder why they call them submandibular and sublingual. Now the one under your tongue is the one that people gleek with. They put their tongue up and can spit halfway across the room, a little shower of spit. Oh, wonderful things go on. Teeth are useful in the digestive system and fun to talk about, to boot. So let's do that next. Turn to page 780. Notice that there are 4 kinds of permanent teeth. You need to know them in order as the incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. The wisdom teeth are a type of molar tooth. If you go into the dental work, you'll hear bicuspids and tricuspids, but we don't use that here. You'll need to know this anatomical arrangement: canine or incisors, canine, premolar, and molar. And you can forget about the bicuspid and tricuspid until you go start working inside someone's mouth. You'll also need to know the anatomy of a typical tooth. You'll find a model of this in lab and photos of the model on the Q drive under the digestive system photos. Also turn to page 778 and see the diagram there. On the first slide, you see that the tooth has 3 major regions. The 3 major regions of the tooth are the crown, which sticks above the gum. What are the gums called? If you don't know what the anatomical name for the gums are, you better find out. The second area of the tooth is called the neck. It's the area within the gums. What are the gums called? And the third area of the tooth, or general region, is the area that's below the gums and within the bony socket. and it's called the root of the tooth. The space occupied by the root is called the alveolus, just like in the lungs. Alveolus means sac, and so our tooth, our root, sits inside somewhat like a sac, somewhat like the alveolus, although a lot larger than the alveolus that you find in the lungs. On this slide of the tooth, you'll see a cross-section slide, maybe it's on the next screen, and you will see the hard stuff on the surface of the tooth. It's called the enamel. Enamel is the hardest known natural material. And the bony part of the tooth, underneath the enamel, is called the dentin. Do you recall that a certain brand of chewing gum is named after this structure? Notice also the pulp cavity and the root canal. Now the glue that holds the root to the bone of the alveolus is appropriately called cementum. Cementum is a connective tissue material, and remember that this joint between the tooth and the jaw is a kind of non-movable joint. That is a synarthrosis. Do you remember that it was called a gomphosis? Yes, you need to know that. And there you have the anatomy of the tooth. Please study it in the photos and also make sure you see the real models.